نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Salman radiallahu anhu reports, on the last day of Sha'ban, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam addressed us and said, O people, there comes over you now a great month, a most blessed month in which lies a night greater in virtue than 1,000 months. It is a month in which Allah has made fasting compulsory by day and has made sunnah the tarawih by night. Whoever intends drawing near to Allah by performing any virtuous deed, for such person shall be the reward like the one who had performed a fard in any other time. And whoever performs a fard shall be blessed with the reward of 70 faraid in any other time. This is indeed the month of patience, and the reward for true patience is Jannah. It is the month of sympathy with one's fellow men. It is the month wherein a true believer's rizq is increased. Whoever feeds another who fasted in order to break the fast at sunset, for the feeder there shall be forgiveness of sins and emancipation from the fire of Jahannam. And for such feeder shall be the same reward as the one who fasted, without that person's reward being decreased in the least. Thereupon we said, O Messenger of Allah, not all of us possess the means whereby we can give a fasting person to break his fast. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, Allah grants the same reward to the one who gives a fasting person to break the fast a mere date, or a drink of water, or a sip of milk. This is a month, the first of which brings Allah's mercy, the middle of which brings His forgiveness, and the end of which brings emancipation from the fire of Jahannam. Whosoever lessens the burden of his servant in this month, Allah will forgive him and free him from the fire of Jahannam. And in this month you should continue to perform 4 things in great number, 2 of which shall be to please your Allah, while the other 2 shall be those without which you cannot do. Those which shall be to please your Allah are that you should bear witness that there is no deity to worship except Allah, meaning say La ilaha illallah, in great quantity, and make much istighfar. Beg Allah's forgiveness with astaghfirullah. And as for those without which you cannot do, you should beg of Allah entrance into paradise and protection from the fire. And whoever gave a person who fasted water to drink, Allah shall grant that giver to drink from my fountain, such a drink whereafter that person shall never again feel thirsty until he enters Jannah. Commentary. The Muhaddithin have reservations about some of the points in the above hadith. Firstly, such a hadith can be accepted for fadail, for virtues. Secondly, all the points that this hadith draws attention to have been further emphasized in numerous other ahadith. Many important points are brought to our notice. Firstly, it should be noted that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam delivered the sermon at the end of the month of Sha'ban, the obvious reason being the intention to put into our minds the great importance of Ramadan so that we could remember and not allow 1 second of this month to go by without giving it the full importance it deserves. Thereafter, attention is drawn to Laylatul Qadr, about which more is said later. Then attention is drawn to the fact that fasting has been made compulsory, obligatory by Allah, who also made Taraweeh Salat Sunnah by night. From this hadith, it is noted that the command for Taraweeh Salat also comes from Allah Himself. Besides this, all the hadith wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I have made it Sunnah, is mainly to emphasize its importance. All the authorities of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah are agreed upon the fact that Taraweeh is Sunnah. It is mentioned in Burhan that only the Rawafid deny this. Muhaddith Shah Abdul Haq Dahlawi rahmatullahi alayhi has written in his book Ma Thabata bis Sunnah from other books of fiqh that should the people of any town fail to perform Taraweeh Salah, the Muslim ruler should make them do so by force. Can I say that again? He says that in his book that should the people of any town fail to perform Taraweeh Salat, the Muslim ruler, meaning in a Muslim land with a Muslim ruler, he should force them, he should make them do so by force. So these are from the Sha'air of Islam, the salient features, the outstanding features of Islam, like adhan. Although adhan is sunnah, but if the Muslims in a Muslim land refuse to perform adhan out loud, then the Muslim ruler should force them to do it. And likewise, Taraweeh Salat. These things, which are the outstanding um, qualities and the outstanding features of Islam, they should be maintained. And in particular, they must be maintained in a Muslim land, because that is the identity of the land, that it is a Muslim land. So those practices which are established and which represent Islam should not be left. Here one point should be noted. Many are of the opinion that one may listen to the full Quran being recited in a certain masjid in 8 or 10 nights and then stop performing Taraweeh with Jama'at. Thereafter, the virtue of the Sunnah will have been attained. This is wrong. By doing this, one Sunnah will be fulfilled and the other omitted. So both of these are things which are Sunnah. To listen to the entire Quran being recited in Taraweeh, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, every year he would sit with Jibreel alayhi salam, and as much Quran had been revealed to that point, they would make this revision. They would recite the entire of that Quran which had been revealed. Quran was revealed over a period of 23 years. So as much has been revealed, that would be repeated. And in the last year of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the entire Quran was repeated twice. The entire Quran was repeated twice. So this is established that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would read the entire Quran in this month, or listen and recite the Quran in the month of Ramadan. So this is part of the Sunnah. But to perform Taraweeh every night is also from amongst the Sunnahs. As for those who are traveling and are unable to perform both Sunnahs because of uncertainty as to where they will be, meaning at different places, at different times, then for them it is advisable that in the first few days of Ramadan, they should have the full Quran read in Taraweeh so that the recitation is complete. Then they should attend Taraweeh wherever they find the opportunity. In this way, the Quran will also be completed and their work will not be hampered. Another point is brought to our notice in the Hadith is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us that any nafil deed in Ramadan is rewarded as much as a fard in normal times. That any nafil deed in Ramadan is rewarded as much as a fard in regular times. And there is no deed which is more rewarding than the faraid. Those hold the greatest reward. And a fard in Ramadan carries the reward of 70 faraid at other times. So now our shortcomings. At this point, we should ponder over our ibadah. We should think about ourselves. How much importance do we attach to it in Ramadan? How much nafil do we perform? As for fard deeds, we observe how numerous people who, after having eaten sahri, go back into bed with the result that Fajr Salat is neglected. Many perform it but not with Jama'at. It gives the impression that we give thanks to Allah for the food we had eaten for Sahri by not performing the most important fard or by not performing it with Jama'at. Such a salat has been termed defective. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "There is no salat for those near the masjid except in the masjid." So this is we're a bit of a distance from the masjid. But nonetheless, we're comfortable. These days we get to the masjid fairly easily. So how must refer expressing close to the masjid was, at that time. Point being is that we should, let alone the details, but how long does it take to get to the masjid? So we should try to, as much as possible, make our salat in the masjid. Similarly, in numerous cases at the time of iftar, Maghrib Salat is sacrificed for food. And many who do come to the masjid miss the takbir at the beginning or miss the first rak'ah. Many people hasten to get over the Taraweeh Salat early and even perform the Isha Salat before the time even starts. That is the way we look at after our very important Farad Salat in Ramadan. We should be mindful in Ramadan, outside of Ramadan. But if we're not going to look after our salat inside of Ramadan, then outside of Ramadan it's much further and much less likely to happen. Sometimes in the process of performing one fard, three others are destroyed. How often do we see even the time of Dhuhr Salat being sacrificed for Qaylula, for the afternoon siesta, while the time of Asr is sacrificed because we are too busy buying things for iftar? This has been witnessed. If such is the case with the faraid, then we can well imagine how much less importance is given to the nawafil. One finds that because of sleep, the time of Salatul Ishraq after sunrise and Salatul Duha before noon are sacrificed. Salatul Awabin just after Maghrib is ignored on the flimsy excuse of just having made iftar and dreading the Taraweeh Salat that is soon to follow. The time for Salatul Tahajjud is exactly the same as the time for Sahri. Where is the room for Nawafil? This is the result of lack of interest and disinclination. You may find 1,000 excuses for not wanting to do. And Shaykh goes on to mention some of the Ramadan of the pious elders. Inshallah, we will read these tomorrow so that we keep this in front of us. That how people of our times, or maybe about 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, not that far off, how they practiced, how they were diligent in their Ramadan. And look, today, you have those people that are very staunch on praying their Taraweeh Salat. And actually, that is the right importance to give to a Sunnah. That is the right importance to give to a Sunnah. Gee, they're very punctual. They're very regular with it. They don't want to miss it. They make sure that they do not miss it, no matter what. समझ गए? Khadija is asking if we can read Taraweeh ourselves. With the surahs that you have memorized, inshallah you can read Taraweeh yourself. ठीक है Khadija? So inshallah we should be mindful of that. That that is not extreme how the importance people give for Taraweeh, but we should give a higher importance to the faraid. That is the point that I'm making. You should be very punctual about the faraid, that we're not losing them. And that's inshallah, Allah give us tawfiq. Ramadan is right around the corner. First night that it might possibly be, first Taraweeh might be Monday night, so not tomorrow night, the night after. First fast there's a high probability that it might be Tuesday. So Allah give us tawfiq, and Allah open up something for us that, although we will be kind of like last year, not completely locked down, but we're going to be in curfew hours for most of Maghrib Salat, all of Isha Salat, and the bulk of Fajr Salat. So let's see what Allah opens up for us to pray our Taraweeh. And if Allah makes it such that we can't, then at least at home we should be mindful. Allah opens it up for in the masajid, then inshallah we should try to pray as much as possible in the masajid. And if not, then whatever Allah has allowed us to do, remember, no situation is a bad situation. It might be unfavorable, but there's no bad situation, as long as we capitalize on it and gain nearness to Allah in that situation. Whatever Allah demands from us, we see what Allah wants from us, and we do that. Our deen is not a deen of emotions. Our deen is not a deen of emotions that, I feel like that I should pray, and if I'm not allowed to pray in the masjid, then my heart doesn't feel it. It doesn't really matter. My heart doesn't feel many things many times, but we see what does Allah demand from us. And whether our heart feels it or not, we do what Allah wants us to do. And that's this is what al-hubbu lillah wal-bughdu lillah. That a person, he loves something not because he himself has an inclination towards it, but he loves it because Allah loves it. And he does not hate something because he himself has an aversion to it, but he dislikes something because it is displeasing to Allah. May Allah give us the tawfiq to bring this into our lives and use this time optimally to gain nearness to Allah. Whatever situation He's put us in, that's that was His call to put us in that situation. For us is to figure out what He wants from us and to make the best of it. Allah give us all this tawfiq. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallah bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.